Good evening and welcome to Driver's Ed this evening. As you can see, my green screen is blank. I did not recharge my batteries. I do not have the use of my good camera, so the picture quality is going to be from the computer, and the lighting is terrible. So you'll have to bear with me tonight. Good evening, good evening. While we wait for people to sign in, there were some questions about the homework. Remember, it's a crash report that you're gathering information. So I really wasn't looking for anything factual outside of your information. So you always have to fill out your information correct. Some of the stuff, if you leave it blank, it's not the end of the world, but you should have most of the backside filled out. Your name, your address. You should get a VIN number from one of your cars. But the other side, the other car, you're making it up. It's hypothetical. There is no right or wrong answer. But remember, I wanted you to always think that you're trying to get the other information from the other person. So that's why I said take a picture of the registration, take a picture of the license. That's going to help you fill something like that out. Because once you leave the scene of the crash and you look at that form and you go, I don't have this information anymore. How am I going to get it from the person? Well, you better have their phone number because you do need to fill it out correctly when it's the real deal. So you may be shooken up. You may not be able to do it all at the scene of the crash. So get as much information. And why pictures are so important is that you can kind of do it later when you're a little bit calm and cool and collected. So don't worry if there are going to be some blanks. I do want you to try to get as much information that you possibly can. I think I texted somebody, I forgot who it was, that I'm looking more for your effort and completing it, getting most of it done and being in a timely manner than having anything remotely correct. Okay, because a lot of what you're doing is showing me that you're involved in the topics that we're talking about. You're trying to get some information from it, and hopefully you're learning from it. It's nothing that you're going to be perfect at when it comes to filling out a report. So just give me your effort. Give me your effort. That's what I want. I'm a big, firm believer of timely effort, okay? I'm looking and it seems like we've got a good group of people. Oh, that's okay. If it's hypothetical all the way around, I'm cool with that. Make it all hypothetical. That's fine too. That's fine. Okay. Just to have some fun with it. All right. So if you accidentally didn't put your name in for your car, I'm going to be okay with it. Just make sure you put your name on it if you send it through your text messages, I know it's you. So that's fine. Tonight's topic, before we get into tonight's topic, let me get into a few things because we are missing some people, which isn't always good because next week is going to be the last week of content. And then we're going to have our final the following Monday. So make sure that you write down, you've looked at your syllabus, you basically knew the end is coming. So I believe it's the 21st. That Monday evening will be your final. I will be sending something out through the Facebook page. I will probably have it posted all next week. Every class that I teach is that just as you came to collect a textbook and get your paperwork, the next class has to do the same thing. So not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. I think it might be the 19th. I don't have my calendar with me. But a week from Saturday, you will be handing in your textbook 2 days before the final. Also, most of you, and I didn't want this, so it's not your fault, you have to pay for the program. So I didn't collect it when I handed out the textbooks. I just wanted to get through this class. And now that we're going to start driving, I do need your payment for the class. So most of you will have to have a check made out to Toll Driving School for $625. That is the balance of the program. And have that with your textbook next Saturday. It looks like I will be having some openings in my driving schedule next week. If you have been doing your homework, and I'll be checking this week, if you want to start driving next week, I will try to fill in some of my empty spots with some of you so we can start getting going. But definitely after the final on the 21st, that following Tuesday, this class is getting the bulk of drive times, okay? So we're going to really get into the driving pretty heavy in about 10 days. And then it's going to go right through the end of June, right through July, because there's just no way, with your class this size that I can get things really going any faster than I am, because I am so backed up. I am just this week finishing up the class that I was teaching in the classroom at the high school. That was my March, April class. The bulk of them will be done this week. Next week, I'm continuing on with the class that's between your class and their class, but they're not contacting me to drive, so I'm going to start driving with you. So if you can get to the high school next week at certain times, just let me know what days, and I'll see if I can fill you in. Probably starting Tuesday, I'll have some hours for people that want to start driving. So that's kind of a little bit of housekeeping on what is going on. I'm really it's so funny how classes take on a personality of their own. This class, I have half of you that are spot on, very good, getting your stuff in and giving me good quality work. And then the other half of you guys, and I don't think that some of you are not even on right now, so you're not even hearing this. You're missing homework. I know that you're not here all the time. It's not going to be good. And I think the final is going to show that. So make sure that there's a big push next week to get your homework in, to get everything that's needed, and do well on that final, because I want to give you a passing grade for the classroom so we can move on to the driving portion. I don't know if you can hear the motorcycles outside, but from where I'm sitting, I don't know if you can hear that. Just put down in the comments in YouTube if you heard those motorcycles. But from where I'm sitting to where the road is probably 40 feet. So I'm really close to a major intersection, and you're gonna probably hear more of motorcycles as we go on, because it's kind of muggy, so the windows. So welcome everybody. Tonight's class is, always sign in. Remember, signing in on your phone is really the most important. I want you on YouTube too, so you're checking in both ways. Okay. You heard the motorcycles, Adam. Cool. Yeah. I thought everybody could hear them. But when you sign in on your phone, I can look at a running history of when you gave me your homework, whether you were here, when you signed in, when you checked out. So that is what I use to see, track what you're doing. That is basically your file. So what I'm doing right now, and I don't know if you can see my hand, I'm pointing to where I see your comments. Dylan just put down just barely. So I'm looking here, and then I've got my phone off to the side down here. So I want people communicating both ways. We're going to try something a little bit new tonight. Halfway through the program, I'm going to put, actually, I'll do it right now. I am going to put this worksheet. Whoop, there it is. This is the worksheet that I'm going to leave on the screen, and you're going to have to answer the questions on your phone. So we're going to probably take about 10 minutes at some point through the program. That way I know that you're actively here and participating. So I'll throw that up when it comes time to talk about highway driving. So let's get right into tonight's topic, expressway driving. We're going to talk a little bit about what are the differences and what makes them so difficult to drive on. I always question parents that come up to me and explain their son or daughter's driving skills as being a little bit behind. I wish I could have driven with them more, but don't worry, in the next week or two, once they're in the program, I'll get them out on the highway and we'll start driving more. And I said, well, how many hours have you driven with them already? And usually, oh, there's an echo, thanks. Yep, I see it. Yep, thanks. Thanks, bye-bye. Yeah, when the built-in microphone comes on. So, thanks, Ashley and Adam. Cool. I really stress, do not drive on the highway with your parents unless you probably have at least 10 hours of driving. You really want to spend the time learning, picking up speed, bringing it down, checking your mirrors, turning your head like in a lane change at lower speeds. And hopefully you're going to build some confidence at lower speeds, like at around 25, 30, 35, rather than being thrown right up onto the expressway. So I always tell parents, do not take your son or daughter on a highway unless they've got at least close to 10 hours of driving in and that you feel confident of their position and checking mirrors. Because if you cannot hold a center position on a highway, you're going to start to drift into somebody else's lane. That's going to make you extremely nervous. If I had you in class, I would ask you, how many of you have driven on the highway and how many of you actually felt kind of uncomfortable with it the first time? I would say that a good majority of you would probably raise your hand because it was so new and it was so fast. But after you've got 20, 30 hours in, driving on the highway is quite enjoyable. It's quite relaxing, I find, and really not all that stressful. And that's basically why we want to be on the highway, is because it is relaxing and it gets us to where we need to go a lot quicker. So I want you to write down the 5 different terms of designations that we give to what we classify as a highway or superhighway. You may hear them being referred to as interstate highways, or maybe toll roads, thoroughways, turnpikes, or freeways. We know that you're going to be getting to where you want to go a lot quicker, but they basically can be broken down into 3 subcategories. So these 5 definitions will be different according to how many lanes. You're going to have more lanes on a freeway than probably on a turnpike. Speeds, same thing. Toll roads, okay, with money. So speed, lanes, and money is what makes them slightly different in different categories. And just remember, not every highway that you go on is going to be free. It is going to cost money. And we're going to talk a little bit, what do you do when you're on a highway and you don't have money? How are you going to pay to use that roadway? And why do they charge money? That's another good question that we have to answer. So as we were saying, the 2 main reasons for using roadways that are classified as highways is that we get to go where we want to go a lot quicker and we get there safely. Now the problem is that you have to think quicker and react faster at these speeds. And a lot of times you have to multitask. There is no room for error because you could be going as fast as 65, 70, 75 miles per hour. So any slight movement in your hand is going to cause a problem with your position. So let's take a look at Andy Pilgrim again about driving. And like I said, there are a lot of licensed drivers that do not merge onto a highway well. And Andy kind of explained this about being a privilege to drive. So let's see this.
Sadly, most people treat it as a right and not a privilege. And of course, this attitude can easily transfer to new drivers. Driving should be something we work on every day to improve our skills. I know adults who have been driving for 25 years and still don't know how to do something as simple as merging without negatively impacting traffic flow. There is no excuse for this. If you feel you are not a competent driver, then work at it. Go out and practice to get better. Remember, driving is different. It takes attention and skill to be a consistently safe driver.
I really liked that part of the video where it showed a licensed driver that was on the breakdown lane, not knowing how to merge to the left with the traffic that was off to the left of him in his blind spot. So you have to remember that not everybody that has a license is a good driver. It just means that at some point in their driving career, they fool somebody with the state that they could actually handle a car. And I tell a lot of people, I'm not really worried about any of my students passing their driver's exam, going to the state, because eventually everyone's going to get a license. I know very few people that don't ever go and get their license. I mean, it's probably less than 1% that ever give up and just never go back again, but most people keep going back until they get it. So you're going to get your license. The question that I have for everybody is that what type of driver you're going to be? What type of driver do you want to be? It does no good, and this is why I want to spend the 10 hours that you're going to drive with me, not so much trying to teach you how to pass the driving test, but to hopefully teach you how to be a safe and good driver. That's going to serve you the best through the years. That's the real test of a driver. I always tell people that fail the driving test, don't beat yourself up about it. You're going to go back in 2 weeks and probably pass. I would be concerned if you came back to me and told me 2 months after you got your license that you totaled your parents' car. Now, why that happened? Okay, that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be totaling somebody's vehicle. So here's also Andy talking about multitasking. So when you're on a highway, there are so many things that you're going to have to be thinking about. You really have to know what's going on in all the different quadrants around your vehicle. So here's Andy just talking just a moment about multitasking.
I'm sure they'll be fine driving. The statistics actually show that students who do better in school are more likely to believe they can multitask. And sadly, this belief is often applied to their driving. Research shows us that humans can do one thing about 100% well, and two tasks at 30 to 40% efficiency. Parents, please don't teach your children that attempting to multitask while driving is okay. It's plainly not.
So once you're on a highway and you get comfortable with getting on and off, it does get kind of monotonous after a while if you're going for like 2 hours. And this is where people start thinking, this is when I can check my phone and start, that multitasking thing and not really paying attention that much. You have to fight that urge to check out on your driving. You've got to always be actively involved, looking at your position, looking at cars to the left, right, to the rear of you when you're driving. Now, here are some special features that you'll find on a highway, and a few of these, or at least one of these, will be on your final. So make sure you write this down. Controlled access and limited access basically just mean on-ramps and off-ramps. So depending on the textbook that you read, could be in the manual, could be in responsible driving, they're going to use different terminology. But what they're really telling you is you can only get on and you can only get off at certain locations. Interchanges, as you can see in the picture, is that you've got a lot of roadways going all over the place. What you're finding is an intersection of two highways at different levels, and you could hear the term an underpass and an overpass. So that refers to connecting roads, major roads. A lot of times you're leaving one road, let's say you're heading north, and next road or exit that you take, you go underneath, and then you're going to be heading west. So it's really basically to get to a different route and to change direction, north, south, east, west. Mile markers are green, and they're off on the side of the road. When you head north, the numbers go higher. When you go south, the numbers go lower. This also applies to ramp numbers on some highways, like Maine has a different numbering system. New Hampshire has it chronological. Exit 3, exit 4, exit 5, exit 6. So it goes up numerically. Now in Maine, the exit numbers refer to the mile marker. So if the first exit in Maine is Kittery, it could be 3. Then the next exit could be York, that could be 12. Okay, so you're basically going up like 11 miles before you take the next exit. So in some states, they use the mile marker number. And same thing with east-west. When you head west, the number goes lower. When you head east, mile markers numbers go higher. The other thing you can write down about mile markers, they're very, very handy when you break down. Let's say that you were to have a flat tire, your spare's not any good, you don't have AAA, so you're stranded on a highway, and you call your dad and you say you're on the Spalding Turnpike, and he's going to say, well, where on the Spalding Turnpike? And you're looking around, there's no green signs telling you exit numbers or names of towns, and you have no clue at all where you're located. What you want to do is kind of walk forward just a little bit, find the next green sign. It will be a mile marker, and it will probably say 14.2, something like that, or 14.4. The mile markers go in 0.2 of a mile. So you're not really walking very far. So if you were to call that in to a tow truck, say that you're on the Spalding Turnpike and the mile marker is 14.2, he's going to know exactly where you're located. He can look at a map and pinpoint it. Now, I know with GPS, we really don't have to worry about mile markers so much, because if people wanted to locate us, we could basically just take a look at the map on our phone and say, okay, we're between Dover and Rochester. And then they'll just send somebody out between those two exits. Okay, let's talk about passing. I will tell you, this is the one driving skill that I will not actually take you out to drive one day and say, okay, Ashley, we're going to drive around until you pass somebody. We probably won't find anybody. So that is no good. If the situation arises where we can pass somebody, I will let you pass. But it's not something that we're actively going to be searching for and doing. But every single one of you will be doing a lane change or multiple lane changes. And lane changes and passing are almost identical. So let's see how to pass correctly.
Another common maneuver is passing in the lane of oncoming traffic. It's common, but it's not always safe and must be done cautiously.
It becomes a danger because of the judgment factors that we don't judge distance very well.
The problem is twofold. It's hard to tell how long it's going to take to accelerate to get past the car we're trying to pass. And it's hard to tell how close the car is in the oncoming lane and how fast that car is traveling towards you.
It's risky business because drivers have a hard time judging that dynamic movement.
If you do plan to pass, keep this in mind. An oncoming car or truck does not seem to be traveling as fast as it really is. Here's a good rule of thumb. If an oncoming car is far enough away that it does not seem to be moving at all, then it is generally far enough away for you to safely make your pass. But if you can see that oncoming car is moving, then it's a different story.
If you go out there to look and you see that car looks like it's moving towards you, you better tuck back in again because you're probably too close.
There are other times when it is not safe to pass. If your view is blocked by either a hill or a curve, don't pass. Assume there is an oncoming car or truck just out of sight. Passing requires extreme caution because of the threat of having a head-on collision.
When you talk about having a head-on collision, you're talking about doubling and tripling the forces, and maybe the forces even quadruple, depends on your speed and the nature of the car coming towards you.
Also, avoid passing at intersections. This includes intersecting roads, railroad crossings, even entrances to shopping centers. If you are on a 2-lane road, pass only on the left. It is dangerous and usually illegal to pass on the right. The exception is when a car ahead of you signals to make a left turn. If the car in front of you is stopped to make a left-hand turn, never pass to his left. Instead, you may pass to his right on the shoulder. In any event, experts urge drivers to not take passing lightly. It's a common driving task that requires utmost caution. This is Jim Angelo.
Okay, that's a good description of how to pass. But there's one case scenario that they really didn't talk about, and it does come across every once in a while, so let's kind of talk about it. You may have been in a vehicle at some point with somebody driving, and the person that was driving, the car that you were in, went out to pass somebody, and the car that they wanted to pass starts to speed up, and they don't allow you to get in front of them. So you're basically on the left side of their vehicle, and you're trying to speed up to get in front of them, and then they speed up, and they're still side by side with you. So what do you do at that point? What do you do with the person that will not let you pass? Especially on what we just saw in the video, it is a two-way roadway. It's different on a highway that's going in the same direction. You could just basically stay in that lane for almost where you want to get off. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go back out in front of that person that won't let you pass them. So it's a lot safer on a multi-lane highway. But with the two-way traffic, you're basically left out to dry. So this is what I want you to write down in your notes. Never, ever try to outrun or outdrive a person that won't let you pass them. Brake, go slower. Go back behind them if you can. Well, part of the question is, now that you're out passing them, they slow down when you slow down. They start, this little cat and mouse game. What do you do then? Always go slower. Go as slow as you possibly can. You never want to get out of control at a high speed. So if you go out to pass somebody and you speed up and they speed up, and then you go, oh, I better slow down, and then they slow down, just keep going slower. Go to 35, go to 30, go to 25. Because if anything bad happens, your crash is going to be at a low speed. Don't start going at 50, 55 and say, oh, I'm going to still go faster to get in front of them, and go 70, 75, because then if something goes wrong, that's a pretty high rate of speed to have a crash. So always go with the lower speed when things don't go the way that you want when you pass somebody. Other special features of a highway is that the reflectors that are on a highway match the color of your line markings. So the reflector to the left will be yellow. That's going to be on the guardrail, and the reflector to the right will be white. Now, let's see. Here's a question I'm going to put. You're going to have to answer it on YouTube. I don't think I've got anything right now to give away, but let's see who could be the first one. What is the color of the reflector at the beginning of a guardrail? All right, so someone put it in the comments for YouTube, and we'll see who gets that right, and I'll tell you in a little bit. Easy Pass. Most cars now will have what we call an Easy Pass module that will scan the car as you go underneath the toll booth. And now you can even go at high rates of speed through the Easy Pass. And you're going to have your car be charged a fee for using the roadway. It's kind of like Easy Pass is like a debit card. So every time that you go through the toll booth, it deducts 50 cents, $1, whatever from your account. And most people set up an automatic payment, like they put $10 in a month or $15, whatever they think they're going to use on a regular basis, and you just keep on drawing off on that. What happens if you don't have Easy Pass? Oh, good guess, Adam, but it's not yellow. Not yellow. Let's see who's coming up. Nope. Nope, no one's got it yet. Keep guessing. Nope. Nope. Everybody's guessing yellow. I just told you. No. Yellow's on the left side of the road. What is going to be on the guardrail? The beginning of a guardrail to the right. What is the color of the reflector? Now, Easy Pass, if you don't have an Easy Pass, they take a picture of your license plate, and your registration has an address, and they're going to bill you. So in some states that you travel, you may get billed for going over a bridge if you don't have Easy Pass. But Easy Pass is something that's in every single state. So there's the mile marker. Okay, there's the mile marker. Hey, Mateo. Mateo's right. So it is red. Okay, it took you a while to guess, but yeah, it's red. So here are the special features that we have. We have the mile marker. That's what I was talking about. So if you break down, you're going to call, I'm at 87, mile marker. There's the Easy Pass telling you where to use. Notice also it has a red X. Okay, this is for people that don't have Easy Pass, but they want to pay by cash. Okay, and then at the top right picture, we have rumble strips. So that is to alert you if you're nodding off, you're falling asleep. The thing I find, if you hit rumble strips, you're more apt to jerk the wheel and come back on. Easy Pass, you don't have to have a Smile for an Easy Pass camera. So they're also using Easy Pass now for sometimes speeding. Okay. So the cameras are for violation enforcement, and the cameras are triggered for each vehicle and only take a photo of the license plate, and that's where the bill is being sent to the address from that address on the registration. Okay, but if you've already paid, it just deletes the picture. So if you use the Easy Pass the correct way, it doesn't keep record of your picture of your car. So this is basically what I already talked, and I said earlier that the reason why we pay for going through toll booths is to maintain our highways and to build highways that are better, that are wider. So it's really for the infrastructure. So it's their own cash cow, more or less, how they fund their programs of maintaining the interstate system. But also, I want you to remember that going over the bridge, and if you take a look at the bottom paragraph here in this article, the toll hikes are more than chump change. Cash tolls on the Chesapeake Bridge jumped to $4 from $2.50, and then from $8 to $12 on the New York, New Jersey Hudson River crossing. And I believe that the last time I went over the George Washington Bridge in New York, I think it was $16. Now, I want you to think about this. If you live in New Jersey and you work in New York and you have to go over the George Washington Bridge, it's costing you $32 a day to take your car to work. Think about that. That's $150 a week to go to work. $30 a day to get to work. That's crazy. This is why the subway system is so important in a metropolitan area, right? So in New Hampshire, this is, actually it's not. I think this is Pennsylvania. So here you have an idea by axles too, meaning trucks have different amounts of axles or tires that are moving their vehicle. So the bigger the truck, the more the axles, and the more you're going to have to pay. And notice you're paying more by mail. So if you don't have an Easy Pass, they're going to charge you more. And no, the reflectors weren't white or yellow. Those are the colors of the line. So you can't use the colors again. And by the way, the color at the end of the guardrail is green. Red is telling you not to do something. So when you see a red reflector, that means there's an immovable object like a guardrail. At the end of the guardrail, it's a green. It's telling you now you can move off the main portion, paved part of the roadway, and not hit something that's immovable. So how do you get on a highway? Know your ramp. Know what number you're getting on. Are you going north, south, east, or west? Very important to know that. Keep your speed while looking for a hole into traffic. Do not stop unless necessary. And know this next bullet. Write this down. Hint, hint. Final, final. Allow traffic to make room for you. Do not slow down or stop unless necessary. The faster you go, and using your directional at the right point will allow cars to make room for you. You will be able to merge onto the highway a lot safer if you keep up your speed and use your directional at the right time. Now, be careful of blended lanes. What blended lanes mean is that where you're trying to merge onto the highway is also an area where people are going to be getting off the highway. So a portion of the roadway does both things. It allows people to get on and allows people to get off. So you're sharing that spot on the road. And it's probably about 150, 200 feet long. It's not very long. When you hear 150, 200 feet, you think that's long. When you're going 55, it's not. It's like 2 seconds, a second. It's pretty fast. So how do you get onto the highway? Here is the sequence that I want you to know. And I did a lot of highway lessons this week. When you get onto the ramp, keep up your speed till at least 35, 40 miles per hour. The minute you see the yield sign that's to the right of you on the ramp, check your rearview mirror. When you check your rearview mirror, also look back at the front of the car to make sure that you're not getting too close to people in front of you or that you're not drifting out of your pathway. Then check your left side mirror. Remember, merging will always be to the left. Check the front of the car after you check your side mirror. Then check your blind spot. Then signal and then merge out. So it's very fluid, and every check that you make, you should check back to the front of your car to make sure that you're not getting too close to people and you're not leaving your intended path, meaning you're going over the lines at all. So let's take a look at some people that did a good job and a bad job with merging. And I believe this was filmed in Texas.
It can be a high-anxiety situation. You're trying to enter the freeway. Cars on the freeway are whizzing by. You're trying to keep an eye on the cars in front of you. Drivers in the cars behind you are eager for their chance to merge. It can be chaotic, and you're the one at the gate.
Actually, a merge is probably one of your highest risk maneuvers that you do as a driver.
Dr. Terry Klein with Eastern Kentucky University is a leading authority on driving safety and an expert on traffic rules.
It's really a rather tricky maneuver because what we're asking you to do as a driver is pay attention to both the things happening in front of you, the things happening behind you, and the things happening 2 lanes to your left or 2 lanes to your right.
Dr. Klein says this complicates things because as human beings, we can really pay strict attention to only one thing at a time. So as tense as it may be, you've got to learn how to merge if you want to enter a freeway.
The bottom line is that you have to prepare for a merge sooner.
Dr. Klein says to prepare for a merge well before you're actually ready to merge. Identify a gap between cars on the freeway where you can merge. Then, continue increasing your speed until you reach the gap you selected. Dr. Klein says instead of increasing speed, drivers have a tendency to actually slow down before merging. A big mistake.
You have cars behind you coming up, they're trying to enter speed themselves, so you could cause a chain reaction type collision behind you as well.
Dr. Klein says drivers tend to minimize the dangers in merging, and that there are actually more crashes that happen during merging than during passing.
Once on the freeway, adjust your speed to keep a cushion of space around your car.
The closer you get to a car around you, the more they drive you and the less you driving yourself. You become their puppet. They brake, you brake. They speed up, you speed up. They stop suddenly, you stop suddenly.
Finally, once you've merged and adjusted your speed, you probably will change lanes at some point. Some quick pointers. Look around you for a large enough space to move into. Use your mirrors. Turn your head to look quickly to the side before changing lanes. Then make your lane change. Changing lanes, keeping space around your car, and merging. Each is a critical task in our driving experience.
So really the hardest part of driving on the highway is getting on. Okay, once you're on, it's pretty simple. Passing is not that difficult if you're going in the same direction. Getting off is simple. But really, it's the merge. Remember that all your tests right now, I don't know if it will be when you're finished with the program in July with all your driving, but right now, everybody that's going for their driver's test is going to Concord. And Concord does have a couple highways, and I don't know if they actually put you up on the highway. But if you do go to Dover Point at some point, they probably will. Epping will not. They won't put you on 101. So a lot of times when you go for your license, think about what are they going to make me do? Where are they going to take me? So if you're near a highway, there's a good chance that they may try to get you up there depending on how busy that they are, because they can't keep you out too long as I do when we drive. So 20 minutes, they got to get you back. But definitely this would be the hardest part of a driver's test, I think, if you went to Dover, would be merging. Leaving the expressway, just know the ramp that you want. So is it, exit 16? Sometimes a ramp will also have a letter like N or W or E. That refers to the direction that you're going to be going once you leave the highway. So a lot of people ask, well, when do I put my directional on when I want to get off a highway? Now, in the book, in the state manual, 500 feet is the distance you put your directional on. But a lot of people, they don't know what 500 feet looks like. So what I want you to write down is your last sign before your exit is a good indicator of when to put your directional on. But remember to keep up your speed still while you have your directional on. Do not brake until you get towards the mouth of the ramp. Now, the mouth of the ramp is the beginning part. When you can hold your whole vehicle off onto the right part of the deceleration lane, then that's when you're braking. And try not to go too fast, because most of them are kind of curvy. So if you're still going 40, 45 when you're going around some of these corners on your ramps, you're gonna leave the road, or everybody in the car is gonna lean in one direction. So tips for survival. What are some of the things that we can do to be better drivers on the highway? Always be alert. As we said earlier, it's a multitasking thing. Don't think that you can check out when you're driving on the highway. Be actively involved. Keep plenty of room when passing. Don't get too close where you have to come in back. And by the way, a lot of people say, when do I come back after passing somebody? Basically, when you can see the headlights of the car that you've just passed in your rearview mirror, you can move back. You don't have to make a shoulder check. It's just look in your rearview mirror. You see both of their headlights, then it's safe to get back. Don't tailgate. Don't get too close to those that are in front of you. Use your turn signals when you leave the highway, when you get on, when you make your lane changes. If you're not quite sure whether you should use your directionals, you probably should. Keep a steady speed. Now, this is where a lot of people will get in a debate. Well, how fast should you go? Should you go the speed limit, or should you go the flow of traffic? I'm the type that will go with the flow of traffic as long as it's reasonable. Like, I always give myself a 5 mile an hour cushion. But like the car in front of you, or right now in the picture, the car in front, he's got a big distance between him and that tractor trailer. And that's a good lane to be in. If we count from right to left, he's in the third lane. So the second and the third lane is really a good lane to be in. But even if the third lane is too fast, move over to the second or the first lane. That is where you might find other people that are going like speed. that are only going 2 over or the exact speed limit. Go where you feel comfortable. Don't get boxed in an area where you feel you've got to go as fast as everybody else. Don't stop unless it's necessary. You can see that there really isn't a safe place off to the right. It's just grass. Off to the left, if you break down, it's going to be hard for a tow truck to go over there and get you. So I would never go over to the left. I would filter over to the right. It's very easy to get fatigued and tired on a highway. So notice this is kind of at dusk. It's getting darker. It's very easy to start nodding off. This is where you want to exchange drivers, get someone that's fully alert behind the wheel, eat a piece of candy, get some sugar in your system, drink coffee, soda, anything that will give you that little boost of staying awake. We haven't talked about fatigue. We'll talk about that the last week of class. Oh, that's next week. So I got to remember to go over that. Beware of what you're behind. So when you're following behind, and I'm going to get out of here for a second because I just watched the evening news before I signed in tonight. I don't know how many of you watch the evening news, but I watched Channel 5 tonight. And yesterday evening, a 42-year-old woman was driving on a highway in Massachusetts, and a tire came off a vehicle. And it bounced from one highway over to the other highway where she was driving, and it went through her front windshield and killed her instantly. And she was a first-grade teacher in a public school in Massachusetts. It's so sad that something like this can happen on a highway. Now, she had no way of knowing that this was going to happen. And like I said, it wasn't even directly behind her. It came from the other side of the highway. So she was going in one direction. Where the tire came from was coming from the opposite. So it's one of those things. You just got to be able to see it out of the corner of your eye and turn the wheel or brake or something to try to miss getting hit head on. But the picture that I'm showing you here, it's the same thing. This is Massachusetts. Be very careful. And this was a fatality. A mattress came off a truck, and it went through and hit a car. It went through a windshield. Look at the car up ahead. Okay, swerved. Mattress is behind. Things like this happen a lot, and they shouldn't. Tie it down better. But when you're on the road and you see what looks like could be possible problems, move to a different lane, pick up speed, slow down speed, get away from where anything that could happen that you won't be involved. Following distance. Oh, and I forgot to get this. I forgot to download this. I don't know if I can throw this on real quick. I'll show it later. So these three, I forgot to download. All right. Traffic circle roundabout. Write down both terms. A roundabout is a smaller circle to move traffic through. And a circle allows you to go at a slightly higher speed. Okay? And what we're finding is that the reason why they're going to circles and roundabouts is to allow everybody coming from every direction an opportunity to enter into traffic and flow through. If you were to have a traffic light, it basically holds up traffic for too long of a period. So they would rather have a yield where people are merging in and merging out. So let me explain a few things about circles and roundabouts. You do not need a signal to get into a circle, but you do need a signal to get out. A circle will indicate, because usually a circle will have 4 ways to get out. So once you're in, right before you have the exit that you want to use your signal indicating that you're leaving. Also, you want to approach from the lane that's going to get you to where you want to go. Now, this is a traffic circle in or roundabout in London, and notice traffic's going the opposite direction. But in this circle, and I wish they'd do it here in New Hampshire, is they've painted arrows on the ground that's really helping you. And I think the only arrows that we have is as you approach, but not when you're in the circle. So here's the Lee. Here's the Lee circle. Okay, you have got 2 lanes coming in. The thing to remember in the Lee circle, if you're coming from the right, so if you look at the picture and you're coming from the right of this picture, if you're in the right lane, you can only go to the first exit or the second exit. Those are the only 2 options that you have. So you're going to either go to Barrington or you're going to be heading towards Northwood. If you go 3/4 of the way around, you've got to be in the left lane. So the left lane coming into the circle here allows you to go to Northwood, which would be the second exit, or the third, which would be Lee, or you could go all the way around. Now, when you drive with me, we're going to go to the Lee circle. We're going to go all the way around. Let me show you the Lee circle. For some reason, I don't think the sound works on this, so I'm going to talk above this. Okay. So basically, as you approach, like I said, you can see the different lanes. And oh, they do have arrows. They're just faded now. This is when they... So it does allow for constant movement. That's what we want. Notice the top picture with a traffic light. You've got cars that are stopped. That's not helping them out at all, and things are backing up. But slowly, we're finding that when you have a roundabout, it does allow traffic to go at a slow rate of speed and to continue to move around. Notice the tractor trailer at the bottom here, okay? He's going to be getting out. So notice he should be putting his right signal on, but he's staying in that left lane. He doesn't go way over to the far right lane. Notice the white car, okay? There's the problem with the circle, the crash point. You got one person with yellow trying to get in, you got someone trying to get out. It just doesn't work. So know as you approach what you want to do. That way you're going to be in the appropriate lane as you... Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I saw the echo. When I switch over to a video, it puts the microphone on. So thank you. Now, these are the symbols that you're going to find. The one to the right here is what you find at a circle or roundabout. It shows you, if you're in this lane, what your options are. So there's the 2 options, off to the right or going towards Barrington. This is a gas station, the bottom right. So here you could go second or third if you're in the left lane. And a lot of people say, what's the speed I should go? Probably 15 miles per hour in a circle or a roundabout. That'd probably be pretty maxed up. So here you see people getting on, getting off. And look at the large truck. He's kind of stopped because he's got a problem with the back of his trailer. He's going to make sure that he's going to clear. So avoid being next to large trucks, as we saw just a moment ago, like right here. Stay back. If you get off to the left or to the right of him, he's going to probably take it too wide. And this is why that shoulder, that pink that was just flashing, see, on the green here, you're going to notice that sometimes they're going to drive up on that pink ring a little bit. That's pretty level with the pavement. So stay away from trucks. Stay away from trucks. Okay, driving through a tunnel. There are no tunnels in New Hampshire. So you're thinking, why do I even need to know this? Well, I'm going to almost guarantee at some point in your life you're going to go through a tunnel. If you want to ever go to Boston for any reason, there are a lot of tunnels in Boston. So I want you to write a few things down because it's not in the manual, it's not in the textbook. On a bright day, you may have your sunglasses on. As you approach the tunnel, make sure that you don't have your sunglasses on. And make sure your headlights are on. That way you're going to see well enough. Now, underneath the tunnel, there are lights, even during the day. In some tunnels, there are exits. Okay, you just don't go into a tunnel and then come out of it and you have no other options. Sometimes you have options in a tunnel where you can actually leave it. Make sure that you get into the lane that you need to get to that exit. So watch your speed and your position. And you should be using your side mirrors more in a tunnel than you are on a regular highway. You know why? Because on a highway, there's usually a soft shoulder. There's a place to pull over if things get bad. You do not want to get hit when you're in a tunnel. So you're looking for people that may be a little scared, a little bit nervous, and their position is bad. They're getting too close to you, either left side or right side, and you're trying to make some adjustment within your lane that you don't get hit. Let me show you what it looks like inside the Boston Tunnel. So I had my GoPro on, and I took a picture of the tunnel when I went to visit my daughter. So you can see there's plenty of lights that's illuminating the roadway, but notice the exit off to the right. So if you wanted that exit, you should have been in the far right lane. Notice the yellow sign is telling you your recommended speed and that there's going to be a bend to the road. Notice everybody's braking, probably a little bit because of the turn. There's another exit. I'm in the middle lane here because it gives me options. I can go to the right to get to the next exit, or I can pass somebody off to the left if the car in front of me is going too slowly. But also notice the following distance. I always kept a safe following distance in front of me here, that I never felt that if anything bad happened, that I wouldn't be able to handle it. I always wanted to make sure that I have enough space. So if the car in front of me slows down, then I slow down. I always keep that 3 to 4 second following distance in front in a tunnel. Look how close from the white line to where the wall is. You can't fit a car there. So if you break down and you need to pull over, you've got no place to go. There's even less space over on the left side. So you do not want anything to go wrong in a tunnel. You just want to make it through as safely as possible. Here's the, I didn't put this in. This was a video of the Durham roundabout. It's much slower, the speed is. I don't know why the videos did not load with this packet tonight, but they did not. Oh, here's one. Pay attention while approaching a toll booth. This is what happens when you like fall asleep or not paying attention. I did have this downloaded. How in the world did that happen? How did someone at that rate of speed not know that there was a toll plaza? And how did they not go through the toll plaza? How'd they hit that little barrier? And notice the barrier has a bevel to it, so that is what made it go airborne. Let me show it to you one more time. I'd hate to think what happened to the toll attendant, because I'm sure that he didn't make it all the way over the top. I think he definitely crashed into it. I did not download those last three. They were basically commercials by, I think, Allstate that talked about following distance and different devices in cars that are helping you. Lane departure was one, and I forgot what the other was, but they didn't download. A lot of you still have to get in the crash report, so you need to do that. And I will put this up on the board right now. So what I want you to do, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to finish this. So you got to do this on your phone. So I'm going to see who's still here right now. So I'm going to give you exactly 10 minutes. So it's exactly 9 o'clock. So at 9:10, I want the answers on your text message. So you're doing this on your phone. Okay, what I'm going to do, let me get out of this for a second. Okay. I do have it on the Facebook page. So if you've been downloading all the documents, what I'll do is I'll just make it part of, let's see, oh my goodness, how did you do it so quick? Okay, you got to answer all the questions. Wow, you fill that out super quick, Kata. Oh my goodness. So there is a way to do it. It's also on the Facebook page. Let me put it back on. I don't know how she did that. Maybe she took a picture of it. That was super fast. So Darian, you got to do it on your phone. Okay, you got it. I got it. Yep, I see it now. Yep. So do all of them together. Just don't do each. So just do a text message and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the answers. So there's going to be just one big text with 12 answers. Yeah, you could do it that way. You could take a picture of it, mark it up. You could just do the text message like I said. Just answer it. 1 is whatever it is. 2, and just go down on a text message. You can answer it whatever way you want. So far, it's looking good. Everybody's doing well. Remember also to text me if you wanted to drive next week when you could make it to the high school. Remember, you got to meet me at the school if you want to drive. Yes, I will. I'll post the correct answers on Monday of the test here, the worksheet. I think we almost. Let's see how many people we still got going here. I think I'll post them on. I think that's just about everybody that's still viewing that did that. If people aren't, um, if people aren't on there viewing it later, they better download this from Facebook or get it from the video. So I'm gonna get out of the picture here. So it looks like everybody has answered the worksheet, which is good. And Z, yes, I'm gonna post the answers on Monday that were what are the correct answers. And on Monday, remember from tonight's class, we still have some work. You've got chapter 9 questions to do. I believe that has to do with highway driving, so make sure that is handed in. And then for next week, we're going to start off with sharing the road with large trucks, motorcycles, pedestrians. Then on Tuesday, distracted driving and road rage. And then Wednesday will be review. And then remember, we're going to have the No class on that Thursday next week, but the final on Monday with your textbooks being handed in. So far, this is the group that is still on and did this worksheet that I could tell are really actively participating and involved and really want their license. I will work with you. I will drive with you, and you get top prime spots for the remainder of June and July. So I appreciate you hanging in there and doing it the way it's supposed to be done. So that does it for class tonight. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow's graduation at Oyster River, so wish all your fellow classmates, congratulations on finishing their high school career. And let's celebrate the graduates of Oyster River 2020. So have a good night, and we'll see you on Monday.